And we are live on this, what is today's date? The 19th of September?
18th.
18th. I got my days all mixed up. But we're live. We're back here. Your boys here from the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. It's a lot of things that's going on in our streaming world because we got a lot of premieres this weekend. So do we have more competition coming up because of what's being programmed? Check us out here. We'll be right back in a second.
Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt. All I really want is that Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt, Big Gold Belt. All I really need, that Big Gold Belt.
It's your boy Silly Sellers. It's my guy John Crab. We're here representing the Big Gold Belt Podcast. Welcome to today, where we're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff that we got going on this show. You know, Crab, how you feeling today?
Good. Yeah, it's been a busy week, but no, we keep it moving though.
Yeah, good for me having back, just getting back in this work grind, but I'm good today. But we're here. Oh, I think we have it here. Look, we just answered our question. We're in season 5, episode 33. So it's right there for us. We was talking about what episode number is this? But it's right here for our Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. Once again, we thank you for joining us. You could be doing anything in the world right now, but you're here with your boys. But definitely, we got a lot of things to talk about. First, let's go ahead and get started. Wrestlepalooza arrives on ESPN. So for the past couple of weeks, what we thought was going to be a debut in January of next year, ESPN has now taken over the rights to do the WWE live premium events, in which their first one is going to debut this Saturday with Wrestlepalooza. It's already been announced on the Pat McAfee show that the opening bout that's going to open the show is going to be John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. So that's going to be an interesting way to bring in this live production. If you haven't been following some streaming, ESPN has a new app, which it has its own identified marker. Well, once again, WWE live premium live events will be on there moving forward. So it's no longer on Peacock. You have to check out the ESPN app, which it does have a price tag to it. So make sure if you want to check it out this Saturday, we'll check that out. ESPN has been boosting up lately their coverage of WWE, which during Sports Center, they've been featuring WWE results on Sports Center shows. You even had on First Take and their morning shows of some different wrestlers coming in just promoting and talking about the matches. But Wrestlepalooza is here. Before we even get started with the match card, Crab, what is just your thought about how Wrestlepalooza is going to be on ESPN? Are you excited about just the platform itself and how WWE is trying to bring it in before we even talk about any matches?
So the thing is, as you were breaking it down a little bit, I feel that I really would have really been excited in 2008. And the reason why I say that is because I remember when everybody remember when the network came out.
Yep. $9.99.
Greatest deal, the deal of the century, stealing money. How could you please take my $10? I'll give you $120 a year if you're giving me all of the wrestling that I can stand for, for that price. And ESPN, and I've said it before, they don't have enough live content for me to justify paying another $30, experience, $40 if I want the Hulu and Disney Plus bundle, a month. And that's why, it's really ironic for the network. Way back when, for $9.99, you got the lion's share of WWE's content.
Yep.
And new content and exclusive shows like NXT. And it was everything but Raw and SmackDown for $9.99 a month.
Yep.
You can go back and watch all of it, the whole thing.
Any pay-per-view to pass. Yep.
Any pay-per-view, new pay-per-views a month later or so, $9.99. And now for $30, $40, I get ESPN, which is a 50-50 split of talking heads and the occasional live sports event of the night.
Yep.
And then the WWE pay-per-view. That doesn't seem like an attractive value for me. So this is the thing. And this is the question. This is the question that, I don't have an answer to. And I don't know if the public will actually truly know because the streaming services don't have to play with the FCC and announce their or Nielsen and announce their ratings and stuff like that. They can only put them out. They can only put them out when they're good. How many people made the jump to Netflix from the USA Network? Because USA Network was included in your cable package. Wherever you were, whatever you got, if you got cable, you got the USA Network.
Yep.
So it wasn't, WWE wasn't an addition to, it was a complement to. Well, I'm not saying that everybody has Netflix, but it's apparent that everybody doesn't. And I know that Netflix is a huge deal, but not everybody has it. A lot of people have cable.
And speaking of that, just not to cut you off, just for Saturday for Wrestlepalooza, if you are international, you can still watch the premium live event on Netflix. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. And good on them. So now that you got to get Netflix on top of, in addition to your current cable subscription or whatever, I wonder how many people made that jump. Now, you could argue, well, everybody cut the cord anyway, so what does it matter? Well, obviously, everybody didn't. And then, of course, ESPN, it's the same thing and a little bit more.
Yep.
If you are not as interested in ESPN's content, then are you really going to buy the service for just one show a month? And that show is going to be WrestleMania. And that's the thing. That show is going to be Survivor Series. That show is going to be the Royal Rumble. How important is that to you, to watch that show live? And that's going to be very an interesting thing to see how well it does. Now, the reason why I say that this is a very long and boring answer, but the reason I say that I would have been really excited in 2008 is because it would have been a dream to have, WWE on SportsCenter. It would have been crazy to have, the dirt sheets talking about, when they were actually doing, legitimate, journalistic work, to have the dirt sheets on there. Hell, obviously we got First Take, we got Inside the NFL. I'm sure the hockey show coming up for the season. But I'd be damned if they wouldn't have had a WWE show at some point in time.
You would think.
And then so it's just like, I think we're way past the mark of when people will care about this because of the fact that, yes, it's Wrestlepalooza. Maybe, is the thing. But at the bottom line, in this economy, are you willing to shell out the money for 6 matches? And I don't know if they're going to do a pre-show or whatever, but as I'm looking at the card right now, there are only 5 matches on the card.
And let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to put it right back to you. So right now what we have on the card, which I mentioned, John Cena and Brock Lesnar confirmed is going to open the show. According to the Pat McAfee show, he released
Brock ain't staying for the whole damn show to close it. Brock
he's not. He said, let me get my paycheck and I'm out.
Yeah.
Now, not in any particular order, but here's the next matches. CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. So that's a mixed tag team match. The undisputed WWE Championship with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Maybe Cody Rhodes has already finished at least filming some aspects of Street Fighter. So
or maybe he drops the belt and goes away.
That's true too. We'll see how that goes. The Women's World Championship match wasn't, hyped up a lot. It had some segments on Raw this past week, but Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer. And then the Usos against the Vision. The Vision, of course, is Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Those are your 5 matches, folks. So I know WWE has been on this 5-match stigma with some of their premium live events, especially what you would call some B levels. But this is also the first premium live event on ESPN. So, talk about that, Crab. Is there any match that is really exciting for you? What do you say? And then shout out to Cupcake here. She says she doesn't have a choice because the only sport that she watches is wrestling. It's a great sport to watch. And now that ESPN has taken over wrestling, it is definitely sports entertainment with the emphasis on sports, right?
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, they're not taking over wrestling because they're only taking over the premium live events, which honestly, only 5 or 6 really matter. And I'm not. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on it because this actually is a pretty decent card. And you could argue that it's a decent card because they thought that they were going head to head with All Out. You could argue that that Lesnar and Cena are opening the show. Yes, because Brock's jet is parked at the airport, and the arena is 30 minutes away. But you could argue that they're trying to counter program that with the main event of All Out, assuming that it's still going on. So, is this like a B-level pay-per-view? But we can't, but it doesn't exist in a vacuum because we have to talk about the other circumstances. All Out will be going on. We'll be wrapping up their show.
Yep.
Around the time that Brock Lesnar and Cena will be making their entrance. Yep. We've already seen how this looks.
Yep.
When they had the when they did it before. Double or Nothing, I want to say, and WWE did something else. But either way, I forget. But the point is that for these 5 matches, and I know that you asked me, are there any matches that look interesting? Honestly, all of them look interesting. Mm-hmm. This is definitely an elevated pay-per-view, and I think it's elevated for the reasons previously stated. But I'm not convinced that these 5 matches collectively, like this event, is worth $30 a month. And that's also a thing too. This is the bar. They would have to put on this caliber of show every month to justify the cost of ESPN, assuming that you, like Cupcake, doesn't really give a shit about other sports.
Yep.
So we would need a Brock Lesnar, John Cena type, caliber match. We would need Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer, which is, I think, my personal match of interest of the night. Mm-hmm. You would need a championship match with Cody and McIntyre. And honestly, there's only 2 championship matches on the card that I see. But the point is that you would need to elevate this thing, because if it does turn out to be a B-level pay-per-view next month with whatever it is, well, no, next month is October. So whatever the October pay-per-view is, if it's not better than this or as good as this, then what are you paying for?
Let's take us back to Young Crab and Young Tilly Sellis when we're have to order stuff off pay-per-view during that time. If you had cable back then, we had to order off pay-per-view, and I think
$70.
$70 a pop if you want to see those pay-per-views. Do you think, just for seeing where we are right now, and I know it's 2 different eras, we're talking about the Attitude Era during that pay-per-view stage when we were younger.
I'm even going back further than that.
Yeah, true. Or where we are now, is the value? Where's the value between the $30 a month, or sometimes $40, depending on what you want to do, for this premium live event on ESPN versus paying $70 for a pay-per-view? That's if you didn't have the scrambler.
Right.
What do you think? We
don't. The kids don't know about the scrambler.
No.
So some things need to stay in the past.
There you go.
But no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand, and to the direct point of the question, the booking's different. Mm-hmm. This is a good B-level pay-per-view that's been elevated for reasons obviously stated. That does not compare to the specialty pay-per-views that we had, like In Your House, or War Games, or, and I'm a bigger WCW fan, so I don't really remember most of the WWE stuff outside of WrestleManias and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But those were events, because the way that Raw was booked, and this is before even SmackDown, but the way that Raw was booked was that the 11 o'clock to 11:05 run over was the cliffhanger that got you to Sunday Night Heat, which was usually the pre-show before the pay-per-view, which was your last opportunity to sell stuff. Mm-hmm. And then also you got to remember, this is before YouTube. This is before Daily Motion. This is before, the internet itself. That's a throwback. Yeah. This is before the internet itself. So if you, and I'm going to really date myself, if you weren't calling Mean Gene or the hotline, there was you were just SOL until the pay-per-view came on. And the pay-per-view, what it was, whatever it was, but the point is that they had a month's worth of storylines that led up to this event that they've been selling you for a month. Especially when it came to Royal Rumble season, especially when it came to WrestleMania season, especially when it came to, Survivor Series season and so on and so forth. They've been selling you this thing for a month. Mm-hmm. Is there any match on this card of the 5 matches that they've really been selling you for a month. The big match is Cena versus Lesnar, obviously, for reasons, because it's Cena's last, last 5 matches or whatever. Of course, Lesnar is part-time, still collecting the check whenever.
Yeah.
So, Cody's there. They don't have Roman there. It's a very slim lineup too. So, and remember, those pay-per-views used to be a lot longer, the pre-show and then a 4-hour long event. So remember that, like, we come from an era where the Raw after Mania was just as important as WrestleMania itself.
100%.
Because of the fact that you couldn't wait to get to school the next day to talk about the pay-per-view.
Yep.
I don't feel that people do that in the way nowadays.
No.
In the sense that, like, well, oh shit, the pay-per-view's coming. I can't wait till Monday morning because I've been waiting a month to talk about the aftermath of this event.
Yep.
And if that is still the thing and I'm just out of the loop, let me know. But I just don't feel that it's being booked that way.
So let me pull what Cupcake said here. She says she likes the card. She's just not happy with the AJ Lee return. And I wanted to bring this up because I think, like you said, the money match is Brock versus Cena. That's definitely a money match. But I think the match that's going to try to get more subscribers is the mixed tag team match. And I would love to hear Cupcake or love to read Cupcake if you want to elaborate on this, why you didn't like the AJ return. But I think when you talk about the diversity of the fandom that wants people to get the subscription, I think having CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, I think that's going to pull people to have that non-common wrestling fan to come in just to see how that's booked. And I won't be surprised if that is the main event of the show. But I think that's where you'll pull people in. Would you not agree with that? But Cupcake, I want to hear what you say.
This is the question, though. This is the question. Who are the people that are clamoring for the AJ Lee's return? Who are those people? And are they under 25? Because AJ Lee's been gone for 10 years.
Yes.
And though not a personal favorite of mine, it is still to the point that I don't know. 10 years is a generation. So there's a generation of fans that have either never heard of her, or just missed her. Too young to care. Don't know. And then, of course, there's the ESPN of it all. How many of these people are begging their parents to see AJ Lee? Now, that was also the thing about wrestling, too. And I don't know if you read it, but there was something that came up over the past week that said, like, Vince McMahon, his whole thing was keeping prices family friendly.
Yeah.
And obviously, within reason, but keeping prices family friendly, where TKO is like, fuck that, make money.
Yeah.
Because realistically, 2 college kids going to the show is one thing, but the kids can't go by themselves. They got to bring their parents. So now you got at least 3 people going.
Yeah.
At least 4 people going. So I don't know who these kids are that are begging for AJ Lee. And, if you're under 15 and you're an AJ Lee fan, honestly, why? Because she left when you were 5 years old. They really haven't immortalized her over the past 10 years in the way that you would think that it was somebody like Trish Stratus coming back. Okay, well, we know who Trish Stratus is, blah, 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 blah. But I just don't feel it if that were the case. And that would be the same thing. If Paige came back, I don't know who these people would be that are under a certain age, under 20, that would be like, oh my God, it's Paige. This is what I've been waiting my young life for.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to buy ESPN now. And that's kind of the thing. I'm not sure who those people are. As far as her coming back in general, CM Punk and AJ Lee, married couple, versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, married couple.
Yep.
Cute storyline, mixed tag match. I wish it was intergender, but they're chicken shit. But it is what it is.
Yeah. You might get a couple of bumps here and there.
Yeah, you won't. You won't. But it is. But that's what it is. So as far as the match itself, fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just not convinced. And because number one, it's not for a title. Number two, where does the storyline go from here? Assuming that AJ is not going to stick around. Punk is along for it. It's whatever. It's just like it's a good novelty match, but there's nothing really built on it. So, Cody versus Drew is for a title. Io Sky versus Vicaris is for a title.
Yeah.
The Usos versus the Vision, sure. And then you have Cena versus Lesnar. We know they're starting the show. I mean, I don't know what are they selling to people? And then they just announced that the thing that they're selling to people, the poster, is going up first.
Yeah. And here, Cupcake, just a couple of feedbacks from her. She feels that AJ Lee, of course, what she's representing, is overrated. Not a fan of hers, and of course, she's a veteran of just watching wrestling in general, so she doesn't align with that 15-year-old that may be just new to AJ, but as an AJ fan. And then she also says, please don't let her stick around. Kind of like what you referenced to, like, what is this moving forward? Does she go after for the Intercontinental title? Is it something that's going towards WrestleMania? Because we are so quietly, but we're getting to October soon. Next thing you know, when December and January comes around, we're going to be in Royal Rumble season, and then we talk about WrestleMania season. So it's right there for the taking.
Right, but that's also so that's like whether she sticks around or not is whatever to me. I'm not a fan of AJ Lee, but I'm really indifferent to her. So it is kind of whatever. I don't need her there, but I'm not saying that she needs to go either. Which is why the match itself is kind of meh. It'll be fine. There isn't a match on there that I would say that is like unwatchable, but and this actually leads to the bigger question: what closes the show? Because for reasons previously mentioned, I just don't see the mixed marriage tag match as a main event when there are two other titles on the line. If it's Cody versus Drew, title on the line makes sense. If it's Io versus Stephanie Vicaire, not McMahon, although that would be great. But if it's Io versus Stephanie Vicaire, then okay, title on the line. We know it's not going to be the Usos match, Usos tag match, and we know it's not going to be Cena versus Lesnar. So what closes the show? And if it is the married couple mixed tag match, why? When you have two titles on the line.
Yeah,
I don't know. See, that's like the whole thing just kind of feels out of place. It's just like, sure, good on them. I'm sure it's the fans will get a pop out of it, and there are fans that obviously won't. But this just doesn't scream main event to me.
Before we kind of shift to, because I guess we'll finish the first half on this topic because we got definitely more topics to get on the next level. I'm gonna ask this question to you, Crab. And let's put your mind in the WWE executive for a second. Let's say you're Triple H. In order for this first event, Wrestlepalooza, to be a success, to be debuting on ESPN, it will be successful if what happens and what do you have to make sure that is, I don't know if it's booked, the atmosphere, what is it that you want to see to make this thing successful?
ESPN has to put their full weight and promotion on it. Like they need to debut a WWE show that's going to do what all the other WWE shows that WWE produces does. But they need to treat this like the NBA Finals. They need Kendrick Perkins, Robin barbecue sauce in his chest, at the up in the skybox somewhere. They need Stephen A. Smith down there, and what's his name, Mad Dog Chris Russo, yelling at being the Andy Kaufman of ESPN. Please, somebody slap the shit out of him. They need the whole thing. It needs to look like ESPN. It needs to feel like ESPN. And that's kind of like a thing that I'm not hearing is that, well, if they're just broadcasting the show, then who cares if it's on ESPN? And that's also a thing too. This is why I really feel that this is 20 years too late, because everybody has a podcast. We're part of everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has a show. The wrestlers are doing podcasts. The dirt sheets are doing podcasts. TMZ has a wrestling podcast now, and that's just the ones to speak English. So in every language that watches WWE, there's somebody talking about WWE. So this isn't the dream merger collaboration that childhood me would have thought it was, because of the fact that there isn't anything that ESPN really can bring unique to the table other than a few exclusive talking heads.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not producing the show.
Yeah.
So So, I would say that this really needs to feel like a sporting event, except that this is WWE, which is not a wrestling sport. It is sports entertainment, and they are goddamn stubborn about it, letting you know that this is sports entertainment. So I think it is interesting. Of course, TKO coming together and with WWE, the UFC definitely taking pages out of the WWE production playbook. WWE definitely hyping up the UFC. But realistically, what does ESPN bring to the table? Like, just completely objectively. They're not producing the show. The show is just going to be on the network. And you get to see Stephen A. Smith bring out a big-ass chalkboard with his list of his favorite wrestlers on it. I mean, unless they're going to have a show that on ESPN at 2 a.m. on the Ocho or whatever the hell they're doing, I'm struggling to figure out why this is a big deal today.
Yep. And just to throw this in there too, so I just looked at it, College Game Day, which Pat McAfee is like taking over the Lee Corso role. He's going to be in Miami. He's going to be in Miami, and that starts about 10 o'clock Eastern time, ends about 12 o'clock. The game with Miami is not shown to 7 o'clock, so he can definitely make it home to Indianapolis for where this event is going to be held at. So just to make it that sporting event, you would assume that Pat McAfee being bridged on ESPN and huge in wrestling, that not only would he probably be there, he might even commentate that night. I don't know if that's been announced or said, but like you said, just bringing that, big game event really, or that big game feel, that could probably, add to it.
I mean, okay. Understood.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, WWE already does that with their 2-hour-long pay-per-view pre-shows where they are positioned strategically in a part of the stadium or outside of the stadium or at Fan Fest or doing other things to, get the show the bigger feeling of the event. Now, granted, these are usually for the bigger shows, but that's kind of the thing. As I was saying it, the ESPN needs to put their full weight behind the product. I don't really know what that looks like compared to WWE.
Yeah.
Because realistically, half the shit that ESPN does and has been doing for the last 20 years, they've bitten from the WWE playbook.
Yep.
Like full stop. Like, let's not even pretend like there are things that ESPN brings unique to the table.
Yep.
I mean, WWE has been their own hype man for the past 70 years. And now that they have TV, they started their own network before Netflix did it.
Yep.
It was, so I really can't think. I 100% believe, and if you, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that a lot of what ESPN is today, and that they're a 60% talking head, hype machine, bullshit, Pat McAfee type stuff. 30%, actual live sports with in-game, and then the last 10% is filler.
Yeah.
The documentaries and stuff. A lot of that stuff is content that's already being replicated by WWE, arguably originated by WWE. I can't think, there's a 30 for 30. Okay, cool. Well, WWE has their own film production company. There's like, what can this ESPN bring to the table? And I personally don't watch them. I don't have cable, largely because of the fact that, ESPN, they have the one game of the week. Okay, cool. Well, baseball, my favorite sport, is on so much more than ESPN.
Yeah.
So I don't need to watch them on Sundays. I can miss that one game. And it's kind of what it is for WWE. I'm not saying this show is going to be good or bad. I actually think it's going to be pretty good. The card looks interesting. But is it must watch?
And that's going to be a good segue because we're about to go to our break, because talking about must watch, we got some competition, because it's not, the WWE is not the only show that's going on in town this Saturday. We're going to talk about that after we take our break. So we'll be right back. Go ahead, grab a drink, use the bathroom, but we'll be right back in less than a minute.
Looking to get your brand in front of people who eat, sleep, and breathe entertainment? Big Gold Belt Media is the place to be. We're all about reporting on movies, TV shows, conventions, and everything in between. And we want your brand to be a part of the action. Partnering with us means your sponsorships get featured right in the midst of our content. Plus, we're going to hype you up on all of our social media, connecting you with an audience that loves discovering new things from trusted voices in entertainment. We're easy to find. Just look for us on Big Gold Belt on all your social media platforms. Don't wait, reach out today, and let's start building something amazing together. Your spotlight is waiting here at Big Gold Belt Media, biggoldbelt.com.
And we are back. And before we go, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Before we go to what's going on the counter programming for WWE, Crab, I want to give you the spotlight because you normally always talk about what's going on with, different things that's coming out as far as movies, shows, what we're watching, everything, because we do more things than just wrestling here at the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. Is there anything coming out this weekend where you feel like we might go check it out? I know what has me interested is him, but I don't know if I want to check it out or not, or if I can wait. No, I don't know. But what do you think is on tap this weekend to check out?
Okay, so there's a couple things that are out this weekend that are of interest. The big movie this weekend. Now, Wrestlepalooza, actually, if you search for it on Fandango, is available at your local theater.
Really?
So
I didn't know that. Okay.
So they're playing it, in most theaters, and at least in this area. And if they're playing it here, they're playing it around the country. So good on them for getting that done. And I'm seeing it listed on Fandango. Dave Bautista is in another movie that looks absolutely terrible called Afterburn, but he has rent to pay, so I ain't mad at him. That Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie movie, A Big Bold Beautiful Journey, is out this weekend. And that looks depressing, but that's out this weekend. Him is probably the most advertised movie that's out this weekend. Marlon Wayans, of all people, playing as the coach mentor of a star football player. And of course, shit gets weird really quickly for some reason.
Much so.
Another football movie starring Michael Chiklis, who's like 60, is called The Senior, because it's a story about this guy who at like 50 went back to college and then tried out for his local college football team. And who knows if he made it or not. But yeah, I think that's based on a true story. Apollo 13, one of my favorite movies of all time, has been re-released and remastered, and it is in IMAX.
Nice.
It's the 30th anniversary of that movie, which makes me feel
we're getting old.
So old.
We're getting old.
Jesus Christ. But the last movie, the movie that I absolutely must see this weekend, is called 731. It is based on a true story. It's a Chinese movie, and it is about the Japanese Army Unit 731, and they conducted human experiments during World War II before the world got started, between the Chinese-Japanese War before World War II got started, which some would argue is like the literal jump off for the Pacific Theater. But the point is that if you're squeamish at all, or if you have faith in humanity, don't watch this movie. If you know about the literal war crimes and atrocities that happened with Imperial Unit 731, then you already know that it is just the absolute depths of humanity. If hell were real and there were a jail in hell, these people would be under the jail in hell if there were such a place. And it's a story about that. And it's one of those stories that in the West, we don't really talk too much about. Everybody knows about what the Nazis did and stuff like that, the war crimes that they committed as well. But this thing is on another level. It's the scariest thing that you'll see because it's real. So 731 is the thing that I need to see this weekend. And that's a bunch of movies coming out this week.
Awesome. Check it out. Crab always got some good info. We definitely have our reviews that we have on our websites and other handles that you can follow us on. But now we're going to switch back to wrestling here. And now we're going to talk about some competition. So AEW All Out comes to Toronto. I know Crab went to Toronto multiple times. It's a great place to see for a wrestling venue, and not just wrestling venue, any type of sport. Some great atmosphere, great crowd in Toronto. And I think if I read correctly, they have 13 matches in comparison to 5 for WWE. Now, of course, AEW definitely has some big things that they have to do. They normally always put on, great performances when they do their version of premium live events. But this is a little bit different from WWE because, of course, it's a different style. It's a different brand. How do you feel about AEW All Out in comparison to the same day that Wrestlepalooza is coming out? Crab, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, so we talked about the booking of the show, and basically the way that AEW is booked is in the more traditional sense of everything leads up to this, and this the pay-per-view. This is why it's worth $50.
Yeah.
You've been watching for a month, you've been following the storylines, and all of the payoffs happen here. Whereas in WWE, it's a lot about they're booking for the moments. There's a lot of moment-to-moment things that happens. Oh my God, who just ran to this ring? This pop star did. This rapper did. Holy hell, it's Jelly Roll for some reason. And that doesn't mean that it can't be bad. It really, it just means that they're really looking in just a new direction for the kids out there that are moving from viral moment to viral moment. And they're curating these viral moments. Whereas AEW, there's a story behind every match.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that that's not the case in WWE with the 5. Obviously, if you've been watching the show, you know how we got here. But it's less, it's more substantive. It's less just sizzle viral moment, on to the next thing. As far as the card itself, 13 matches on the day, but then there's 9 or 10 actually on the card itself. So I'm not going to go through all of the matches. I will say that every match, except for Big Bill versus Eddie Kingston, and that's just personal bias because I absolutely abhor Eddie Kingston. I think he stinks on ice, and it's unfortunate that he gets to wrestle again. With that said, a lot of stipulations in the matches, a lot of tag team matches, a lot of people on the card. So, but also with such a big card, there's a little bit of something for everybody.
It is.
Personally, Okada, Takeshita, Mascara, Dorada, triple 3-way match, because you can't call it a triple threat, for the AEW Unified Championship. That's the match that I'm really looking forward to. That's going to absolutely be a barn burner because it's the type of match that I want to see. Edge and Christian, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus FTR in Toronto. Both of them are Toronto.
Huge pops.
And it's them versus FTR, which honestly would have been a dream match, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And now that we are on the downside of both Edge and Christian's careers, hell, FTR's this may be a dream match because we might not see this again.
You may not see it again.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and Mercedes Moné versus Riho is going to be very interesting. Even the coffin match between Darby versus Moxley. My personal seething hatred of John Moxley aside, this is absolutely the type of match that he thrives in. It's not wrestling because he doesn't wrestle, but so just some big dumb mook, hitting each other. And Darby's just going to throw himself through everything. So honestly, that match as a coffin match, which is Darby's specialty, if he has a specialty, that's going to be nuts. So, and then there's still 8 more matches that we haven't talked about and the pre-show. So, WWE with their 5 matches of, they're trying to hit 5 home runs. And that either will or will not happen. AEW, if they hit a home run in their 13 tries, cool. But realistically, they are playing a different game. Now, Cupcake says that AEW doesn't stand a chance. I would say that, well, they do because they're putting on the show. But also, there is no chance. These are not the same things. This would be like comparing the big 3 to the NBA. It's both basketball, but they're not playing the same game. You can't tell me that the mixed tag marriage match between couple versus couple is the same thing as any of the matches on the AEW show. You can't tell me that Cena versus Lesnar, which is not going to be the best, most technically proficient wrestling match, is going to be a lot of substance, a lot of flash, a lot of sizzle. But, the wrestling is going to be whatever the wrestling is. How many German suplexes will Cena take? What's the over-under? 7? You're telling me that's going to be as technically proficient as Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher? We're not talking about the same thing. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. I'm very okay. And I'm actually glad that AEW moved it. At first, it was just like a matter of pride. No. You announce the show. WWE comes out with this bullshit later on, and they're counter-programming you to death, and then they move the show. Honestly, I'm actually glad that they moved the show, because realistically, people are talking about wrestling on Saturday. Whether it's the people that wanted to see AEW and can watch WWE later, or the people that have never heard of it, and now they have because of the fact that AEW moved the show. There's enough wrestling to go around, and we don't talk about the indies as much as we used to, just because it's just too much going on. And we don't talk about Japan as much as we used to, largely because I don't get up in the middle of the night to watch it as much as I used to. But the bottom line is that there's room for everybody, and if you like your 5 matches, AJ Lee notwithstanding, then that's cool. If you like your 6-hour wrestling show,
it's going
AEW, then that's cool. There are absolutely some matches that are not worth my time on this card.
Yep.
But most of it, 8 out of 10 ain't bad. Yeah.
I'm just looking at, and I'm just even thinking about, like, I think one match that I'm not particularly caring about, just it's kind of a waste for me, that Mark Briscoe versus MJF, and then that tables and thumbtacks match. I think that might be just wasted time, just of unnecessary botches that may make cringe people. But it happens. It's going to fit that 6-hour mode. It's going to fit the 6-hour mode. So you're on point with that.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a matter of like, well, if you don't like the tables and thumbtacks matches because it's too hardcore or whatever. Or you don't like the coffin match because it's just too much and too hardcore. Okay, cool. That's 2 that you can skip.
Yep.
There are, 8 other matches on the card. Oh, well, tag team wrestling is boring, so you don't really want to watch that. Okay, cool. That's 2 more matches that you can skip, and you can watch the other stuff. It's a bigger buffet. AEW isn't forcing anybody to like everything. But if WWE, they only have 5 matches. Only got 5. If you are not sold on the entirety of the card,
yep,
then cut the show and buy a 5th. Then that's really what we're talking about. It's not a matter. And even before with WWE, we were talking about what's the main event. Well, we know what it's not.
Yep.
And we only have 2 more matches after that to pick from.
Yeah.
So, it's not a matter of, and the show's going to be whatever the show's going to be. I hope they go well. But the idea that these shows are in direct competition with each other, I find it's silly.
So let's shift to this. So let's go. I thought I had it up. Yeah, let me see if I can show it here. Boom. Yeah. Oh, hold on. I got to scroll it. Let's scroll it. Let's make sure I get everything there to the way it's supposed to be. Boom. When we think about future reference, and I know we talked about this right before we go on, and AEW right now is counter programming Wrestlepalooza. So right now we're talking about a 2.5 hour show versus a 6-hour show. But WrestleMania is something that can be a 5 or 6 hour show that in Saudi Arabia in 2027, WWE has announced recently that they're going to do that. So when you think about what could be potentially coming down the pipe, and once again, WrestleMania will be on ESPN, you're going to have a situation where AEW might want to put one of their best shows against WrestleMania, or should they counter program? So is this a test right now that AEW is doing in comparison to WWE? And going back to Cupcake, she even said this right now when you was talking about that, AEW doesn't stand a chance. But do they going against WrestleMania if they're trying to see what this can be for what they're doing on their matches crap?
So WWE has directly programmed AEW twice. I forget exactly when the first one was, and I think it was early this year. And then you have AEW announcing that it was doing they put on the NXT show. The night it was Saturday night's main event. AEW had a show, and then the NXT show went on, and then the Cody Saturday night main event, Goldberg's retirement match was the night afterwards. No, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. It was the women's show the night after, and Goldberg's retirement was Saturday night's main event. That big event was at the end of the AEW pay-per-view. The point is that we have All Out, which is AEW's second biggest show of the year. One would argue that it's Double or Nothing, and then All In could be a third. And Revolution would be their fourth if there is a fourth. Now, they're pretty fluid on their pay-per-views, and I think that it does stand within reason for them to move Revolution, obviously because it'd be a completely apt name to put that against one of the most established events in wrestling history. You got a little small show called Revolution. How about that? But I also think that if it were, what would that show have to look like? Because this is the political connotations of WWE bringing WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia, which obviously people in America feel a way about, because that means that WrestleMania will definitely not come to their town. That means that for the first time since like Toronto, I think in like the 90s, you will need a passport to go to WrestleMania if you are in America. For the lion's share of the wrestling world that watches WWE, you will need a passport and probably a visa to get into Saudi Arabia to watch the damn show anyway. And that's only happened one other time when they left the country. With that said, it's not that they're just leaving. They're leaving the hemisphere. WrestleMania is probably going to start at like 10 in the morning. Eastern.
Get your breakfast ready, West Coast.
Yeah, basically. I mean, if you're Hawaii, just don't go to sleep. But realistically, that is going to be a thing. Whether it's one night or two or three, it has to be determined as well. Now, what does that mean to AEW? That means that while the rest of the world not the rest of the world, in America, they're trying to decide if they want to pay ESPN for the service. But if AEW were to counter-program that, especially with their kinship with the indies, AEW talent works indie shows, all the time. Some of them run them. Some of them are legends of their respective region. Like Swerve up in the Northwest, Darby Bryan up in the Northwest, the Young Bucks, Excalibur down in Los Angeles, and so on. It could be this philosophical moment of David versus Goliath. Because you do have the WWE being backed by the Saudi government to bring a show to the world through Saudi Arabia, and then literally all of the indies in definitely America, probably Mexico, possibly the UK, coming together for a massive wrestling weekend, unlike which that we've really never seen being embraced by a big company. WrestleMania weekend is usually the WWE show, and then the indies shows working around that weekend. It usually starts on Tuesday. They ramp it up, a bunch of shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then nothing happens Sunday because it's WrestleMania. And then maybe somebody is sneaking a show in because Raw ends the week. If AEW decides to counter program whatever they do in Saudi Arabia, and they have 18 months to figure it out.
A lot of time.
We could literally see champions from all over the wrestling world for example, Mercedes has like what 10 belts right now.
Yeah,
that are being recognized, you know, in AEW.
Yeah.
So the point is that, you know, what if we see her? If we see these talents from these companies saying, "Hey, that's my belt, I want it back," or whatever the case is, there's so many different avenues in the indies. If they decide to embrace it, of course, that means that everybody has to be vetted. Nobody's a rapist or a murderer. Blah blah blah. But it could be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about future tense, right? And I know, I think you guys probably talked about in the past, does AEW need, because like ESPN right now is taking over WWE, is AEW need some type of merger? Because I know like Paramount and Warner Brothers, and they're all trying to compete, and maybe future mergers happen. And I think you even mentioned offline, you was like, well, if you have the AEW on CBS, do you need that type of merger to help with that impact of a TV deal to help compete against what's going on with ESPN right now, if you're AEW, just to help spotlight that competition or the counter programming?
So here's the problem. The COVID bubble has burst as far as streaming goes.
Yep.
So there isn't anything unique anymore.
No, not at all.
And yes, as soon as I say that, you're going to say, well, no, this show is exclusively on this thing, and this thing is exclusively on this thing.
Yep.
And Apple TV has the rights to soccer, and blah, blah, blah. But so what? Because back in my day, we got all of those things in one platform called cable.
One. A-side, B-side, if you want to add that.
Oh, damn. You took it back to the switcher?
Yep.
Damn you, Metrovision. The kids don't know about the A-side and B-side. No. When you had to pay an extra $5 for Disney Channel?
Yes.
You know, yeah. People don't know. We're so old that in Maryland, in Prince George's County, Maryland,
yep,
where I grew up, and if you were in the northern side of the section, you couldn't call your friends in the southern side of the section.
You're so right.
And say, turn on channel 15, because
You're
it was
so
different
right.
Cable based on literally where you live, even though we were within a 20-minute drive of each other.
You're so
Once
right.
you crossed this particular street, crossed Central Avenue, everything flipped over.
It flipped over. It sure did. And
Up
Central
was
Avenue
down.
it was a meter point, because that's where you had to go turn in and get your boxes.
Right. Up was down. Down was up.
Yes.
Everybody had something different, and nobody had anything, but everybody had everything. And it's the irony of it, and how simple those times were complicated in the moment, because well, who's paying for the pay-per-view this month? Oh, Celis is. All right, cool.
Let's go over to his house.
We're going over to his house. Then I got it next month.
Yep.
And so on. And now it's just like, well, who's paying for the pay-per-view this month? Well, it's $10. And that's kind of the thing. But as far as the back to the point of the counter programming, realistically, this could be a moment for AEW to put on the biggest show of all time. And I know that I've said it before, where they had like, well, what if they did it like a 24-hour block of wrestling where we got the time zones involved? We had different companies host different events as part of this one massive 24-hour wrestling event, similar to like WrestleMania 2 that was in 3 different locations and so on. You know, like, how would you counter program, the biggest wrestling show in the world by bringing the rest of the world to wrestling? And if that means that AEW puts on an event in New York, and then they flip it over to their partner company, Defy Wrestling in Seattle, 3 hours later, and then they flip it over to another thing happening in the UK or Japan or Australia or Singapore or Egypt, it would be the biggest wrestling show in the world. Like, wrestling would literally be wrestling on the global scale. And I think that's like, it would be, it's crazy to think of how that would happen. But honestly, it was crazy to think that WWE can bring WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia. And yet here we are.
Here we are. Here we are.
There's money to be made, and AEW, they definitely could. Absolutely, you counter program it, and honestly, you do that with a show in the UK.
Yep, absolutely. And then one more topic that we want to get through tonight. Let me try to see if I can find. I was trying to scroll just for something for fun as we talk about throwback
fun show.
Boom. NXT Homecoming at Full Sail. We have another throwback moment. That happened this past Tuesday. We had a couple of performances that was in performance. Rest matches that happened. Tyler Breeze returned. And then of course we had some of our greatest of all time, like Charlotte Flair was there. Rhea Ripley was there. Stephanie Valkyrie was there. Booker T had his spaz out moment, with the Devil's Kiss. Did you get a chance to see it? Any comments that you want to add just on WWE or NXT coming back to Full Sail for Homecoming?
I saw a little bit of it. It was a decent show. An interesting show of having the old stuff versus the new stuff. I think a lot of that really, obviously, for nostalgia's sake, it really makes me miss that first era of NXT. Not that this current era is bad. It's actually pretty good, and it's the best that it's been in a little while because nobody wants to remember NXT 2.0, that whole thing. And they're really hitting their stride right now. With that said, I think that the Homecoming event, I really wanted more of a homecoming. Like it yes, sure. You got to see a lot of people came to NXT and they were doing a thing and they did their own gimmicks and whatever. But these people are still in the roster. Like Finn Balor coming back to NXT isn't crazy because he's still in the company. Or Charlotte or Rhea Ripley or whoever, or Asuka or Kevin Steen or whoever. Like it, but they're already there. They're just moved up to an upper floor. And that's also a thing too. This is what I was talking about booking for moments instead of bookings for substance. None of these things are going to matter next week. It's just like, oh shit, this interaction happened. And wasn't it cool to see Bobby Roode and Joe Hendry, who totally is this decade's Bobby Roode, interact, and that was a good moment. But will that moment carry through to the next PLE? I don't think it will. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where WWE is now. They're, it's not lost on me that they book they have their shows on TikTok or Twitter. Because that's just kind of the way they book. They book 5 minutes at a time and hope that the memes live on for the next month versus booking a fully fledged storyline that, and again, as soon as I say that out loud, people are going to say, well, the bloodline's still a thing. Is it? That shit has ran its course and they don't have an answer for it. It's in a holding pattern. Nobody knows what Roman wants to do. They need to let it die, but they can't because it makes money. Calm down.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of homecoming for NXT. But Homecoming really wasn't about the talent because nobody really left. No. It would have been crazy if FTR had showed up. It would have been crazy if Cody had showed up. It would have been absolutely crazy if Aleister Black showed up.
I would like the Tonga line. No, what? Jose, even him coming back up,
It would have been bananas if Velveteen Dream showed up.
That might have been just a talk. We might have did the whole show on Velveteen Dream if he came.
Shut it down. Or EC3 showing up, or if Paige showed up, that would have been bananas because everybody else, still is there. They just moved down the hall. So it's kind of like when you have a fire drill, and you moved from one side of the office to the other, and then you have a fire drill every year, and you go, damn, you still work here? Oh, where are you now? I'm on the 4th floor. Oh, I'm on the 6th floor. Oh, let's get lunch. And that's really what it felt like. It wasn't really like the big surprise that I was hoping it was. And also, they've been outside of Full Sail for a long time now, 4 or 5 years or something like that, and they've moved on to a different show and stuff like that. So the Full Sail crowd isn't the Full Sail crowd from 2016.
No.
They're not the Full Sail crowd from 2020.
Yeah.
So, so that's also a thing too. So yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was cool. It was a moment, and WWE is really good at creating these moments.
Gotcha. And even with Cupcake, to her, Lord Steven Regal still looks good to her.
Well, I mean, look, Regal's great, and Regal will never age. I really, really appreciate it. Okay. Last question, because we're at an hour before we wrap it up. Is it time to promote Shawn Michaels to writing for the main roster? NXT is his baby.
Yeah.
And I think that we can agree on some level that he's done a hell of a job, curating NXT. Is it time to promote him to the main roster? Give him Raw or SmackDown, but honestly, give him SmackDown. Because SmackDown's kind of treading water right now. And that's not their fault. That's not entirely their fault, because the Cena thing's been on Raw, and stuff like that. Yeah, but
let me answer your question with a question from Boss Man. So, for nothing has made Jamal happy about products this week, if I said yes, he should go up to the main roster and be elevated, and then you bring somebody new for NXT and maybe reboot again for 3.0 or whatever you want to do, would that make you happy?
No. So he says so far nothing had made Jamal happy about products this week. That's not true. I thought AEW is pretty damn good, and the pay-per-view is actually really interesting. Mm-hmm. I think that SmackDown, that WWE right now, as they're selling their big pay-per-view, is a lot of flash and no sizzle. With NXT Homecoming, it was fine. Did it make me happy? No, because baseball and stuff was on.
Passable. It was passable.
It was fine. But there isn't a single moment on the NXT Homecoming show that I'm like, oh, we gotta go back and watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is the question. Did you DVR the NXT show because it was that good?
I did DVR because I was wanting to see Tyler Breeze. That's the only person I wanted to see.
Right. So if Sean gets,
we share the same last name.
Gabe takes over NXT. And that's fine. If that's what it needs to happen, that's what needs to happen. But I'm just saying, like, at what point did we have Shawn Michaels, new D's and all, come and make SmackDown his baby?
And I think it could happen. And I'm not mad at it. I just think you better have a succession plan, because I think that could be a good counter for what Raw did for Netflix. You bring Shawn Michaels to be that face of SmackDown. I think that would be very good. And kudos to Shawn Michaels, how he's elevated his life post-wrestling, being a behind-the-scenes guy to help build up so many wrestlers that is now the legitimate contenders of NXT now, or have been promoted to the main roster recently. You got to give him kudos for what he's done to build them up. And I think he's really doing a good job. But he's building them roster, with the knowledge that they got to go sometime. Yes, 100%. He's not. He's like a AAA manager. He's not building them with the knowledge of, like, we're going to keep this guy for years. We're going to build a brand around him. I'm getting you ready for that next level. As soon as you get the word, you got to go. Yes. Roxanne Perez and so on and so forth. Yes. That might have to be a topic that we dig deeper into next week. We will have to dig deeper into that because we, obviously we need to get the fallout from Wrestlepalooza and stuff like that. But I'm just saying in general, I'm not saying the NXT could stand to lose him. And hell, if Gabe does take over, I'm not mad at that either. I'm just saying that what they're doing with SmackDown, specifically SmackDown, and you can argue Raw, but what they're doing for, it's not working for me. And they're trying a lot of little things. Yeah. But realistically, and that's also another thing too. The TNA NXT merger invasion angle, we already know what it is. Like, I'm actually very interested in that. Mm-hmm. Let's just get the ball rolling on that. Yeah. But yeah, we will cover that in due time. But get your thinking hat on. And is it time to promote Shawn Michaels? And I'll leave it with this. Bossman put this. He said, question is Shawn Michaels answers to his best friend. Going to the main roster, he answers to TKO and the network, including Netflix. Every player can play in every system. So that's something we might hope for next week, just for food for thought.
And also, wait a minute. First of all, how you just come in off the bench with comments on YouTube?
Right.
I mean, it's not you can't get in here, but that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation. But stay tuned. That's why we're here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can check us out on YouTube. You know our handles where we're on Twitch, X, whatever it is for social media. Big Gold Belt has it. Once again, Crab also talked about things you can see this weekend, because once again, we also talk about more than just wrestling, movies, comics, TV shows, whatever the case may be. You can check out some of the reviews, or even our boss man 2 Chainz does his interviews with a lot of our celebrities to make sure.
A lot of stuff on the website and the YouTube page.
Yes. Check it out. We have stuff for days. For the people that jumped in the chat, Cupcake, and everybody that's listening with us and here with us, we appreciate you. Crab, any words you want to say going out?
Watch some wrestling this weekend. I think both shows are going to be pretty good. I think that we're at that time where things are going to have to start happening in a bigger way, because we're getting into Survivor Series season. Yep. Cena's almost shit is getting real right now. Yep. And then, even though WrestleMania is not until next April, the Royal Rumble and the setup for the Royal Rumble happens in a few weeks.
Absolutely.
We're going to be in Royal Rumble season, in a month or so. Yep. So this is, lock it in. That's what it is. Lock it in.
On behalf of my guy, John Crab Jamal, I'm your boy, Silly Sellis. We appreciate you. Come check us out. We'll be here next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Like he said, check some wrestling this weekend and just enjoy yourself. We'll see you next time.